people next in line, lower class and social slime. They don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show, Canada Live, right here on UCY.TV, March 1, and we got us a snowstorm. And must have something to do with that evil, nasty, what do they call it stuff again? Climate change, that's it. What a bunch of dicks. Anyways, I'm just going to buzz through. I want to talk about our legal system, our law system here in a minute, but I'm just going to buzz through some. I just opened up a newspaper and turn that off so I can hear myself. So here's a headline: Inquest into RCMP shootings condones killing Indigenous people, chief says. So what's the chief got to say here? Not chief of police, but the leader of a remote northern Manitoba First Nation says the inquest into the fatal RCMP shooting of a man on his reserve essentially condones killing Indigenous people. Chief Gilbert Andrews of God's Lake First Nation says the inquest judge didn't condemn the 2011 shooting of Paul Duck or make any recommendations to prevent a similar tragedy. Andrews says his community, 1,000 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg, that's a ways north, questions whether the shooting was fueled by racism, and many fear it could happen again given the officer was never charged or held responsible. Seems like this kind of behavior to kill an Indian is condoned by the justice system and gives people reason to fear the actions of the RCMP in the future, Andrews said Tuesday. It's okay in the eyes of the judge for the police to shoot our people, he said. It seems that way. Early on March 15, 2011, Duck heard his sister's nearby house being vandalized by a large group of young people. The inquest heard he grabbed a shotgun and fired several rounds to scare the kids off. He pursued them down a hill where two RCMP constables were guarding the scene of a house fire that had killed two young children and their grandfather the day before. Duck approached the officers, apparently talked to him about his sister's home. The inquest heard Duck was asked 3 times to drop his gun. He lowered the weapon to his waist but continued walking towards the officers. He was shot in the arm and lost a life-threatening amount of blood within 5 minutes. as Duck lay on the ground, he said, "I should have dropped the gun." The inquest judge concluded the shooting was an unfortunate misunderstanding. Duck's family members said in a statement they feel justice has not been done and they are still searching for closure 5 years later. We still have a lot of unanswered questions, and we stress enough that this travesty could be avoided if the officer had not been so fearful during the line of duty and too quick to use his revolver, said Duck's brother. To believe my brother died needlessly because the value of life did not take precedence by the officers involved is beyond my understanding. The Duck family never got a chance to face the man who pulled the trigger, Andrews added. The inquest was moved from God's Lake First Nation to Winnipeg out of concern for the officers' health and safety, he said. That decision robbed the community of an important part of the healing process, Chief says. They wanted to see a face as to who did the shooting. We felt that this inquest was just going through the motions of satisfying the Fatalities Act, where an inquest has been automatically called. That's the way the community felt. The First Nation of 1,700 people is slowly trying to rebuild its relationship with the RCMP. This time, they'll forget all about it, hopefully, but I don't think so. Well, I don't think they ought to forget about it. Okay, the RCMP are basically the Queen's lower army, and as such, it's we live in a legal world. Put it that way. I mean, this story really kills me because it's on the God's Lake First Nation. Okay, and God ain't in the legal system. Okay, there's no God in the legal system. God is in the system of law, but we haven't had the system of law in a very, very long time, if ever, really. But especially not now. Not now. That whole idea has gone out the window, you know. God's law is very simple. Don't do any harm and do unto others you wish them to do unto you. And it's a tragedy that way up there, you know, you'd think people would be safe somewhere. I mean, this is, what'd they say, 1,000 kilometers north of freaking Winnipeg, man. That's getting up there, you know, and you ain't even safe there from the police. You're not even safe there. And the reason these people don't have to fear too much the police, because, well, the system is set up to protect them because the police protect the system. So the police pretty much get free run of what they're doing. A pretty sad story. Anyways, let's see what else we got here. Manitoba woman jailed for 2 years for giving her partner HIV. I don't know how that's going to help anybody. Let's see. You got people starving all over this country here. You got people with no homes. You got people, just struggling to get by. But Canadians, you know, they donate $100 million towards the Syrian Relief Fund. Well, it fell short. How much short? Let's see if there's any good news in this. Ottawa, what do we get here? The dollars are still being counted, but the amount of money we donate by Canadians for overall Syrian relief efforts will likely fall well short. Oh, good, that's good. Of the maximum $100 million the government had promised to match, but a spokesman for so every dollar that gets donated, the government will match it, I guess. So you, the poor tax slave, are donating your money, and then the government, I guess, is matching it. But the government, the money the government have is the poor tax slaves. So even if you're completely against this influx of migrants, and you have a clue what they're being brought in here for, and you have a clue why their country's bombed out in order to get them to move somewhere else where they want them to move to. So you're going, well, I'm not going to donate to that because I don't believe in it. But in actuality, you can't escape it because you're going to donate anyways. If the government's matching the funds, you're donating whether you like it or not, and that's a huge problem. That's something I don't think people have enough of a grip of. Well, I didn't donate to that. Yeah, you did actually. But a spokesman for a coalition of aid groups said it was unlikely that the number was ever going to be met, and pressure is now on aid agencies to find other ways to get public support for the humanitarian crisis created by the 5-year-old Syrian civil war. The matching program for Syrian Relief Fund was created last fall and was supposed to close at the end of 2015. By then, about $12.2 million had been raised, and the Liberals extended the deadline. Three groups, UNICEF, that's the United Nations, World Vision, which is United Nations, and the Humanitarian Coalition, which we can tie to the United Nations, said they pulled in about $10.3 million in total during the entire matching period. Officials at UNICEF were reaching out even in the final hours, said spokesman Tiffany Bagata. We have seen an increase in donations to our Syrian crisis response through January and February, particularly in the last couple of weeks. Let's see, two major donor events brought in a couple $100,000. Deadlines are among the reasons. Matching funds. I can't take that call, guys. Anyways, this goes on and on and on. So, good for the people that didn't donate, and that's the Syrians shouldn't be here. The Syrians should be where? I don't know. Let me take a wild guess. Syria? Huh? Is that a good place for Syrians? I think so. Seems reasonable to me. Let's see what else we got here. I've seen a couple weird things here. You have, what do we got here? Let's see. Oh, Trudeau's, okay, let me go look at this thing. This is Canadian crap. Trudeau selfies it up at Whistler. Trudeau selfies it up at Whistler during a break in climate talks. Tweets fly, pictures are snapped as the Prime Minister in a jaunty snowsuit with his Canadian Endeavour snowboard livens things up with snowboarders along with his wife, Sophie. I'm going to puke. Returned to his roots this week on the slopes of Whistler, mingling and selfing with local snowboard enthusiasts. Prime Minister was a snowboard instructor back in the 90s, is in BC to discuss a national climate strategy with provincial and federal leaders. So they're having fun while they're on your dime, by the way, on your dime, while they're figuring out the best way to totally screw you. Then that's not just a Canadian happening, that's everywhere. Let's go screw them. Well, we can. So that's your hard-earned money at work as well. I saw a story in here. They're coming after everything now. Let's see. This change on me already. I saw a couple of stories in here I want to just run through quick. I guess they're after the Senate. I don't see the story here right now. I saw it a half an hour ago. The Senate wants to, they're recommending, because I got nothing else to do, any way to put their hand in your pocket is what they're up to. They want to they want to put a lot more tax on sugary drinks. The Premier of Ontario defends raising drug costs for most seniors because they want to bring in the euthanasia craze, I guess is going to end up being. Seniors, well, they cost a lot in medical expenses. And so if we put the drug costs way up, maybe we can ditch them out sooner. This is how sick of a world we're living in now. Ontario's gas tax boost won't help the environment. It wasn't designed to help the environment because there's nothing wrong with the damn environment. Ontario's gas tax boost is there to take the money out of your pocket and give it to the big boys and give them a reason to tax you more. Okay? Because what? The gas tax boost, what do they want you? Off the road. They want you off the road and on the light rapid transit. So whenever you see a light transit system being built, no, that's what they want you to ride on. And they will get what they want if we don't put a stop to this nonsense. You will be eventually riding around on a light transit. Here's something else. Ontario service fees, vehicle registration set to go up. Starting next year, fees for driver and vehicle licensing, camping and provincial parks, fishing and hunting licenses, liquor licenses, event permits, and court applications will be adjusted annually to keep up with inflation. The elimination of the $30 drive clean free fee grabbed the headlines from the Ontario budget, but the fiscal plan also contains increases in virtually every other government service fees, including vehicle registration. Starting next year's, everything goes up. The government says automatic indexation will protect the sustainability and quality of all services and ensure that the cost of providing them are borne by those who use and benefit from that. If that ain't straight out of Morris Strong's mouth, Rockefeller's mouth, the UN's mouth, okay, borne by those who use and benefit from them. That's the same line they use for your hydro bills, the same line they use for your water bills and every other damn thing. You are the frickin' problem. And we want you to pay and pay and pay and pay and pay and pay. The Ontario government raised $2.1 billion in fiscal 2014-15 from service fees and says it will review all of them with an eye to making sure services intended to help low-income residents don't become more expensive. Eliminating drive clean fee will cost the province about $60 million a year to pay private garages to conduct the emissions test, and drivers will still have to cover the cost of any needed repairs to bring the vehicle up to code. The budget also eliminates licensing fees for adoption agencies and increases the threshold for waiving fees for mediation in family courts. So you're going to get screwed some more. Now, this is going to hurt a lot of people, this one. Ontario cracks down on underground economy, goes after tax cheats. Government to create teams, holy Jesus, man. Ontario to create teams of specialized auditors to root out tax cheats and will target electronic sales suppression zappers. The Ontario government says it will be cracking down on the underground economy. In the budget released Thursday, Ontario boasted that since 2013, it has collected $930 million, $330 million of which was collected in the past year, thanks to enhanced measures, including working with the Canadian Revenue Agency. About $300 million was was revenue owed to the province, while $630 million was due to the federal government. Statistics Canada estimate that in 2012, the total underground activity in Canada was $42.4 billion, or 2.3%. Since 2014, in a special pilot project, the province has targeted the residential roofing sector due to health and safety concerns and underreporting of income. Any homeowner could be potentially liable if roofers were to fall off or injure themselves. Last summer, it dispatched inspectors after hours and on weekends and issued more than 1,700 orders for compliance and initiated almost 250 prosecutions. The Liberals also promised to target electronic sales suppression devices or software known as zappers that were made illegal in last year's budget. When some businesses use sophisticated technology or software to hide sales, they take an unfair advantage over others by underreporting business incomes, paying less tax to government, and retaining taxes paid by consumers, said Scott Blogged. A finance minister spokesman. In the email, the Canadian Revenue Agency said in the past 5 years it has successfully prosecuted 12 files. In the last 5 years, Canada Revenue Agency has successfully prosecuted 12 files related to the use of Zapper software, which accounted for $835,000 in federal tax evaded. Didn't say they got it. Now, in 5 years, the guy's running around Canadian Revenue Agency trying to find these zappers, and in 5 years they found 12 of the damn things. I would think that the cost of what they accounted for was probably somewhat higher than what was going to be collected, but I highly doubt they collected it. The provincial government introduced tougher penalties with fines of $5,000 for the first infraction for using or possessing such devices, and up to $500,000 and jail terms of up to 2 years for manufacturing or selling such devices. However, due to date, no one has been convicted, although the Ontario government said it had never anticipated immediate results. In 2011, Quebec mandated all restaurants install modules to record transactions with the government, which the government said brought in $160 million in its first year. It is expected the total for revenues recovered will be $2.1 billion by 2018-19. Let's see, Vice President of Restaurants Canada argued that Quebec's figures are skewed because many businesses were not licensed in Quebec when the government introduced the new program. So additional revenues are not linked solely to the use of zappers. I don't think it's prevalent as some make it out to be. He said the places that invest in point-of-sale terminals are doing it because they want to be good corporate citizens. They don't want to be men and women. They don't want to be people. They don't want to be individuals. Okay? They want to be good corporate citizens, which is a subject, which is subservient. Okay? A slave. So James, the Ontario Vice President of Restaurants Canada, says that his people want to be good corporate citizens. Roulette worries about the hospitality industry being singled out. He notes that the likelihood of under-the-table transactions will be no different than any other industry. His group worries about unnecessary paperwork, including onerous requirements such as producing a paper receipt for every transaction. For example, coffee or a donut. Shops handling small purchases required in Quebec. Well, that's getting pretty bad. It's really getting bad. It's really, really getting bad. So here you go again. 5 things to know about Canada's new mortgage rules. Canadians looking to buy homes between $500,000 and $1 million will have to put larger down payments as new federal rules took effect on Monday. And the reason for that is that they want to start squishing down the size of your house. Doesn't matter if you can afford it or not. It's a social injustice that you even have a home, and and so we just gonna, I mean, this is, I mean, these are just freaking a whole load of criminal activity. I saw some roofers. We used to have a roofing company, a building company, and I don't recall anyone getting what you would call real hurt. And we did a lot. You're supposed to know what the hell you're doing. If you don't feel safe doing what you're doing, you don't not to be doing it. I mean, I had a few guys I had to take down off the roofs because I was worried about them. They just weren't steady on their feet, and they didn't have a sense about where they were. So you gotta have a. Doesn't matter what you do, right? You have to be able to deal with it. But these guys, I was walking down the sidewalk, and these guys were they were roofing a small house with like a 412 pitch on it, maybe 512. Nothing anyways you couldn't walk on. And they're all tangled up in these damn ropes, right? You're trying to make money, you're trying to make time, and you're tethered there like an idiot. Like a little kid, I see the kindergarten kids and the grade 1s and 2s, they'll tie a rope around each of their waists and, as they wrap them around. And you got this little train of kids going down the road. And even those kids don't need to be tied up, but now they're tying up the adults. It's getting to the point, I don't know what it's going to take. I really, really, really don't know what it's going to take. You got police abusing people, and that's bad enough. But the real abuse is coming out of the legislatures, and that's, I don't care what country you're living in, because they're all being run by the same crew, and like we're going to. I don't know if I read that before or not on the show, but there was. I mean, it's not like the kids aren't vaccinated enough yet, right? But they lost like 45,000 records of school kids in Ontario lost their vaccination records. So now the kids have already been poked. I don't know how many vaccines they've already taken, but in order to go back to school in the spring, or not whenever they go back to school, they have to go and have all of their vaccines brought up to date. And that'll be an experiment. You can bank on it, right? What happens if we double dose all these little buggers? We'll do an experiment and see how that works out. I don't know. I really don't know. It's absolute lunacy. What's going on here? And in Ontario, we have. They brought that. Harper. Stephen Harper, ex-premier or ex-prime minister, brings in Elizabeth Dowdeswell straight out of the UN and drops her in here as a lieutenant governor, sitting as queen. A woman who wants it done. Okay, a woman who wants it done. So they got the perfect clown up there. They can write whatever the hell they want in the legislature. I mean, they can put, they can call anything a not sustainable. They can call anything, tag anything, a climate problem. They can tag anything any way they want, and add a tax to it or make it illegal. And that crazy old broad from the UN is going to be sitting on her little throne, her mini throne. I'm the queen in place, and I'm the most evil cow that was ever put on the planet. Involved in Agenda 21. She was the president of this group wanting to bury nuclear waste all over the place. There's supposed to be environmentalists coming out of the UN. So let's just go bury all the nuclear waste just off the shore of Lake Huron. I mean, how bad is this? You know, let's see. I wish I could. There was a couple other quick stories I want to look at there, but I like this one actually. This ain't too bad. Now, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I said this many years ago when I was looking at the rewilding programs. And Nova Scotia is a very classic example because it's split basically down the middle. And what they did and what they're doing everywhere is they do a lot of amalgamations in that, but because there is no city of Halifax anymore. Okay, it's the greater region of Halifax or whatever it's called now. But most definitely there's no city. I went looking for it and couldn't find it. I punched in the city of Halifax. It doesn't exist. It doesn't freaking exist. City of Sudbury doesn't exist. Okay? These things have been with us forever. And all of a sudden they're disappearing. Those names are disappearing. So in Nova Scotia, they cut it in half. And, the Halifax region, which is the really main city, and the outlying towns in that have all been amalgamated. And the other parts on the other side of that line have basically had all the economy more or less destroyed so as to drive people into where there's work, in the city. And has absolutely devastated the real estate prices on one side of the island compared to the other side of the island. And that's how they drive you out. There's no work, or we'll find work somewhere. But anyways, this is how stupid this is. Halifax has raised pet owners' ire by targeting dogs who allegedly bark too loudly at a popular park. The municipality, which is a corporation, recently erected a sign at the off-leash area of Shuby Park asking pet owners to control your dog's barking or take the animal elsewhere. Critics argue that in dog parks, dogs should be allowed to be dogs. No, I don't think so. You're a man or a woman. You're not allowed to be a man or a woman anywhere. So why should a dog be a dog? Why should a dog be allowed to be a dog? You're not allowed to be a man. You're not allowed to be a woman. And children most certainly aren't allowed to be children. So what makes dogs special? The Mime for Canes class I'm offering is almost fully booked. One Twitter user, Andy Bowers, joked on Tuesday. Another user, Sean Jowdry, tweeted a doctored photo of the city's sign that read, "Please do not use this area if you can't make your dog less like a dog." But city spokesman Tiffany Chase said the city had received a number of complaints from homeowners who live across a small lake from the Dartmouth Park. "We visited the park 17 times, said Chase. The sound of the barking does carry quite clearly over the water." Now, this is a problem. And I can see where it's a problem. I mean, it is a dog park, and dogs bark, but you can't bark in the dog park because you'll sound too much like a dog. And the sound does clearly carry over the water. Now, put that into perspective. They have slammed this province with these frickin' wind towers who have driven so many people out of their homes, have driven the animals nuts, who have run off the deer, and the geese don't land in there anymore. Okay? But the experts can't find any problem. It's really not the turbines. It's actually you're irritated by the look of them. It's not you didn't embrace them as this wonderful green energy. you hold something negative about them, and that's what's making you really crazy. Not the freaking noise, not the flicker coming through your windows of your house. No, no, no. Embrace it. Every time it drives you nuts and you can't sleep, and the infrasound coming down through your foundation walls is making everybody sick in the house. No, embrace it. It's green energy. You see, so you have these rules, and then you have these rules. And some dogs barking in a dog park, and you can clearly hear the noise over the water. Well, yeah. You know, what are you going to do now? Go give a moose a ticket in rutting season because he's making a noise? I mean, give me a freaking break. We got to wake up. I mean, this is, I don't know why people, I know people read that thing in the paper in Halifax are going, oh, them damn dogs is barking again, Mabel. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? It's a dog. Well, we ought to call the municipality. It's just pathetic. Anyways, Chase said dog owners were unaware that they were annoying the park's neighbors, and so the city put up the sign in mid-January in hopes that it would reduce some of their noisier activities. We had noted that the dogs tend to bark more when they're engaging in fetching activities. There are always ways of reducing the activity level in that area. Yeah, so hey, dog, you've been on the leash all the time, and you are a dog, and you like to go and run and goof around and play a little bit. Hey, whatever your dog's name is, Rin Tin Tin or whatever the hell it is, go fetch a stick. Oh, I'm so happy to be off this freaking leash and running around. Oh, and there's a lake I could bark, which would likely carry clearly over it. But I want to play fetch, and I like to bark because I'm happy. Want to fetch the stick? Roof, 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 roof. Let me throw the stick. Come on, throw the stick. And throw the stick and bring the stick back. I get the stick. Come on, woof, woof. But they're in hopes they would reduce some of their activities. You know, dogs tend to bark more. There are ways of reducing the activity level in that area. Yeah. Put gun towers around the dog park, and if a dog should happen to be happy because he's off the leash and his owner's throwing him a stick, you can always make the dog quiet real quick. But I don't know if the gunshot's going to carry clearly over the water or not, but hopefully they'll be less in volume than the actual barking, and so possibly we'll just shoot the suckers if they bark. Clark said the signs appear to be working. If complaints resume, though, the city would have to look at moving the off-leash area somewhere else, she said. It's really just about being courteous to one another. Now, when I was a kid growing up, there were dogs all over the neighborhood. And people didn't generally, you know, unless they were pretty tough and mean. But generally dogs, everybody was free, you know. We didn't need to be supervised at like 6, 7, 8. We just, you know, toured. And we got stung by a lot of bees, and sometimes we got bit by a dog. And, you know, sometimes we crashed our bicycles, and sometimes we stubbed our toes, and sometimes we punched our buddy in the head, and or sometimes they punched us in the head. Sometimes we had wrestling. Sometimes we'd even call rather loudly, "Yo, Jimmy, get down here." Now, I don't know if we'd be allowed to do that today. I don't see kids speaking much today. They wander around like zombies. They don't seem to be having any fun, you know. And this is the world that they're building around us. You know, I was talking to somebody about the municipal hall up here, and they said they've signed it all now, and they changed the rules so you can't engage anybody in there. you can go in and get your time and say something, but I just look at you like deer caught in the headlights. And now they've come up with new rules or something that if anyone feels uncomfortable with the subject you're speaking on, then you shall refrain from speaking on that subject, and so on and so forth. Just like the hospital now, it's apparently, I don't go there, but apparently it's signed like a bitch there about how you're to behave. So, while the dog actually gets off his leash for a little while, we're on our leash all the time. We're leashed. And we're running around in the people park trying to have some fun. But apparently that's against all the rules. And that's kind of unfortunate. But the sign says here, courtesy matters. Now, two signs were erected in Halifax after news complaints received about dog barkings last summer. And the sign says, courtesy matters. If your dog barks, it can disturb neighbors and other park users. Please do not use this area if you can't control your dog's barking. And they have a hashtag by the look of it. Maybe not, but it says respect on it. So you can't even go down. This is just a rough gravel parking lot or whatever the hell it is down by the beach or something. And nice, here's a nice picture of a couple of dogs engaging themselves. Looks like they're having fun, but we're not allowed to do that anymore. There's just something about having fun that you shouldn't get involved in. So, let's see what else we got here. What time we got? Let's see. Now, this is another Canadian paper, the CBC, the Communist Broadcasting Corporation. Trump Clinton look to make gains as voters weigh in on Super Tuesday. Well, I ain't in America. This ain't an American newspaper. Top story is about Trump and Clinton, of which I have no intentions of even looking at. Let's see. Time for an independent body to probe RCMP workplace complaints. Senior Mountie says, tough luck. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Bank of Canada warns of email scam using its name and logo. No. Here's a scam, Bank of Canada. There's no money here. Right? You go get a loan. You say, oh boy, I'm going to go get a loan. No, you're signing a promissory note. There wasn't no money there until you signed that. And you've signed a promissory note. But they didn't give you any money. Let's see. Here's a Calgary woman has been granted physician-assisted suicide. I would like to pass away peacefully. Yeah. Let's see. I wonder how happy she really is. Toronto family fights back after birth photo used in campaign against same-sex parenting. Oh, yeah. See, now. So the Toronto family, I don't even know what that one's about. Senate obesity report calls for tax on sugary drinks, a ban on ads for kids. A new Senate report on Canada's obesity crisis, it's always a crisis, it's always a crisis, is calling for a tax on, or it's either a crisis or a war on something, is calling for a tax on sugary drinks, a ban on food and drink advertising aimed at children, and government subsidies for healthy food. So healthy food, Calgary woman granted physician-assisted suicide. Then we go down here, no sugary drinks, and they also call for government subsidies for healthy food. Calgary woman granted physician-assisted suicide. Why waste all that protein? Oh, look, kids, it's Soylent Green. Strokes on the rise among young people. I can't even believe this is supposed to be news. It freaks me out. Strokes on the rise among young people. Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to hit it. Strokes on the rise among young people. And here's a picture of a young girl, probably, I don't know, not very old anyways. Maybe she's got her hands over her face and her elbows on her knees, and her toes are turned in, and hair's hanging down, sitting on a bench all by herself. Sudden dizziness could be an early warning sign of a stroke, even among young people. It's time to bust the dangerous myth that only elderly people have strokes, medical experts say. There's a public perception that strokes only affects people who are older, and that's simply not true. Dr. Michael Hill, director of the stroke unit for the Calgary Stroke Program at the Alberta Health Services, told CBC News, "As a practicing neurologist, I see a fair number of young people with strokes. So it's not out of the ordinary. While the majority of strokes strike people who are over 65, 10 to 15% affect individuals 45 and younger. And that number is on the rise. According to the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada, 2014 annual report, strokes in people in their 50s have increased 24% over the last decade. Why would you think that is? A global analysis, it would have to be global because we have to get all the data, published in the Lancet in 2013, found the incidence of stroke in people aged 20 to 64 jumped by a quarter between 1990 and 2010, and those patients make up almost one-third of the total number of strokes. Yada, yada, yada. It's a different world, they say. Really? The world we live in now is different than it used to be. People in our age working hard. They work much longer hours. There's an incredibly stressed work environment where people perceive that you have to work all these extra hours to get ahead and be successful, said Lindsay, a registered nurse who suffered a stroke at 38. All of that leads them to not eating properly, picking up a lot of fast food, picking up dinner on the way home late at night, not exercising on a regular basis. While some of the risk factors for stroke, like smoking, have declined, others like obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes are on the rise among younger people. However, Hill noted that some of the rise in stroke rates can likely be attributed to improvements in diagnostic technology. That's how we found out about climate change, with improvements in computer modeling, right? Missing the signs, because people associate strokes with the elderly. Symptoms in younger victims can often be missed or dismissed, even by medical professionals. Wow. A 2009 study by the Department of Neurology and Stroke Program at Wayne State University Detroit Medical Center found that among 57 young stroke victims, 1 in 7 were given a misdiagnosis of vertigo, migraine, alcohol intoxication, seizure, inner ear disorder, or other problems, and sent home without proper treatment. Well, there's a very good chance that anyways, physicians are also susceptible to the same bias that I'm talking about in the general public, which is why they don't naturally expect stroke to be occurring in someone who's 25, for example. However, they should, because stroke is still the most common neurological event that would occur to a 25-year-old, Hill said. Well, strokes are usually sudden. About 25, 30% of stroke reporting having experienced warning signs on and off in the hours or days before. If you have sudden neurological symptoms, they have to be taken seriously, Hill said. If it walks like a duck, this is from the Heart and Stroke Foundation, uses the FAST approach to recognizing stroke. The face, is it drooping? Arms, can you raise both? Speech, is it slurred or jumbled? Time to call 911 right away. The faster person is treated, the better, yada, yada, yada. No, it's not the world it used to be. You know, I'm starting to think, as hard as the world was here in North America, when our forefathers came over here with a sack of sugar, coffee, and a broad axe, I think they probably had a more interesting life, a better life, maybe shorter life, but better life. They were engaged with what they were into. They didn't have time clocks. They didn't have buzzers. They didn't have, they ate when it was time to eat, and they slept when it was time to sleep. And they didn't have this constant rattle of propaganda bouncing around in their head. I mean, if you watch TV, you're probably going to have a stroke. You know, I see the odd video go by with Trump in it. There's a boy that's due for a stroke. Okay, insurance company reconsider dated policies for suicide attempts. This is all bad stuff, man. There's so much. This is like we've turned into a death cult here. Let's see what we got here. Let we see what we got. Now, this is probably not, I don't know, who knows. Hey, you can build something out of most anything. They used to have a limit on wood structures. I think it was 6 stories. I think that was it. Or maybe 4 stories. I think some of them were 6 stories. But I really think maybe 4 would be about the limit. The search for ways to build greener, more energy-efficient buildings has triggered a 21st century version of the old skyscraper race, but these contestants aren't made of concrete and steel. This week's Globe Conference on Sustainability in Vancouver will hear how some municipalities, including 2 BC cities, are pushing the boundaries of building high with wood. Why wood? Wood is sustainable. Wait a minute. Hold the frickin' phone. Wood is sustainable? When the hell did wood become sustainable? Must be after they took over control of all the farmers' woodlots. Would that make it more sustainable? Could be. No, it can't be sustainable because Suzuki said we cut trees down. That's not sustainable. Plant trees, that's sustainable. Don't cut them down. Why all of a sudden is wood sustainable? Why? Because it's a renewable resource. Well, wait a minute. When the last tree's cut down and yada, 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 whatever them Greens were yipping on about, it's not a renewable resource, not according to the Greens, not according to the, it was just yesterday. The governments everywhere are going, we can't cut trees down. Not sustainable. Well, yeah, I know, but we want to build high rises out of them. And we were at the Global Conference on Sustainability, and they told us that all of a sudden wood is sustainable and a renewable resource, which it is. It's a renewable resource, and it is sustainable. But that's not the crap they've been, the kids in school are going, oh, don't cut a tree, hug a tree, hug a tree. Now, the very outfits that are telling kids they got to be tree huggers is now telling them we're going to go cut them all down, build high-rise out of the damn things. Enough to give a kid a stroke. Enough to give a little kid a stroke. Anyways, University of British Columbia, John Mirtris standing in front of what will soon be the tallest building of its kind. When it's completed in 2017, UBC's Brock Common student residence will be one of the tallest buildings in the world, made mostly of wood. The future site of UBC's 18-floor Brock Common student residence is a hive of activity on the campus these days. When it's completed, I already did that, wood is still slightly more expensive than concrete and steel, but UBC says there's another benefit. Not only do wood buildings create fewer greenhouse gas emissions, they actually store carbon dioxide as well. Well, wait a minute here. Hold the freaking phone. Wasn't it these same university a-holes that was telling everybody, and Suzuki's a university a-hole, all these Gores and all those people? Haven't they been pound down our throats and into our minds for how many years that when you cut a tree, you release CO2. And not only do wood buildings create fewer gas emissions, they actually store carbon dioxide as well. A building like this, the calculations we've done, is equivalent to taking 480 cars off the road a year, said Mears. Wait a minute. You're going to build a building out of wood, and somehow that's equivalent to taking cars off the road. How is that possible? They don't tell you. Right? There's nothing. I mean, this thing is. You're building a building out of wood. All of a sudden, it's sustainable. All of a sudden, it's a carbon dioxide sink, and all of a sudden, a building like this, the calculations we've done, is equivalent to 400. And people will read this and go, "This is wonderful." These are the same freaking idiots, these zombie-minded, walking dead dicks, that were hugging trees. Don't ever cut a tree. You release CO2. My God, what are you doing? Now these same dicks will be reading this and say, oh, isn't this amazing? We're building woods instead of out of concrete, which is a CO2 producer when you make concrete. Building it out of trees because it says here trees are sustainable and their carbon dioxide sinks. And they take it's like taking 480 cars off the road. So if we built a whole bunch of these buildings and cut every frickin' tree down on the planet, we could take a lot of cars off the road, said the environmentalists. I mean, how stupid are people? Oh, well, you see, it's a global thing now. Wood construction growing worldwide in Japan, Australia, and all over Europe. Engineers are using more wood to reduce the high greenhouse gas emissions created during concrete construction. New wood engineering technology and super strong bonding means it's possible to create sheets of plywood like panels that can approximate the strength of steel. Well, I forgot this was a 1-hour show. Shit. All right. Thursday night, we're going to talk about some lawyers. Anyway, that was have a great night. Enjoy March 1, what's left of it.
They shoot, they kill, they massacre, they burn the kids. No one thinks gun trees lie to your face.